ku soo dhawaada war waxaan idinka haynay guud ahaan caalamka iyo dhulka ay Soomaalidu degto
daawadayaal ku soo dhawaada telefishinka codka bariga Afrika waxa daawanaysaan warka subaxnimo
wad mahadsantihiin ku soo dhawaada warkii duhurnimo ee codka bariga Afrika
ku soo dhawaada warka habeennimo ee laanta afka Soomaaliga telefishinka codka bariga Afrika
ku soo dhawaada warka fiidnimo ee telefishinka
waxaad si toos ah u daawanaysaan warka galabnimo ee telefishinka codka bariga Afrika magacayguna waa Cabdikariim Bishaawi
anigoo ah Warda Amiin Xasan
anigoo Xamse Xirsa Xayda
anigoo Nuuranalka
magacayguna waa Adfita Xaray
magacaygu waa Shabcaan Maxamed Xaaji Daga
magacaygu Cabdilaahi Xasan qodobada warkeenana waxa kamid ah
ku xirno wararkan ku soo korinay oo ku baxaya qaabaan hore loogu arag warbaahinta Soomaalida
Wadani party suspect the owner of Upstone TV being tortured in Somaliland. A car bomb exploded at military base in Mogadishu. Ethiopia resumed travel services to Djibouti. This is CBA TV News at 5 from Hargeisa, Somaliland. Welcome to the news. My name is Tijani Ajara. Now the news in details. The main opposition party of Somaliland, Wadani Party, suspect the owner of Upstone TV, Abdimanat Yusuf, been tortured in his detention in Somaliland.
waxaan xisbi ahaan ka hadlaynaa xariga xaqdarrada ah
Barkhat Jama Batoon, the spokesperson of Wadani Party in Somaliland, has spoken out about the detention of Abdimanan Yusuf, who is a businessman and the owner of Upstone TV. The spokesperson described the detention as unconstitutional. Barkhat Jama Batoon believes the process of arresting the owner of Upstone TV was illegal, as well as the police arrested him in the wrong place. He added that the family, friends and the TV staff had been wanting him for more than a week and being denied access by the Somaliland police. The spokesperson confirmed that his party has strong suspicions that the owner of Upstone TV was being tortured by the Somaliland police, citing why his family and friends were denied to visit him.
xisbi ahaan waxa shaki weyn nagaga jira in Abdimanaan jirdil loo geystay.
As Wadani Party, we have strong suspicions that Abdimanan was being tortured. Yes, we have serious suspicions about this. We can prove that by the way his parents and political parties were denied a visit with him.
maxmuuska ay arkaan hay'adaha caalamiga ah ee xuquuqal insaanka ka shaqeeya Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch.
He urged the local and international human rights organizations to investigate Abdimanan's case as soon as possible. Somaliland Journalists Association condemned the arrest of the owner of Upstone TV and called on the government to ensure justice and brought him before the court to also give him the rights given by the Constitution to have the access of his lawyer and see his family. Hamza Dabchirin, CBA, Hargeisa.
In the early hour today, a huge explosion rocks a military base of Somali army in Mogadishu, the capital city of Somalia, which caused the death of Somali soldiers and civilians, while others wounded.
At least 8 people, including government soldiers, killed and 14 others wounded on Saturday morning after a car laden with explosives detonated near a military base in the vicinity of Mogadishu Stadium. Residents of Mogadishu said the blast was heard in most districts in the Panadi region. The Somalian government has not yet officially commented on this attack. No group also has claimed responsibility, but Al-Shabaab frequently carry out such attacks. Initial reports say the government soldiers opened fire and other army officers arrived, which completely closed the scene of the blast. The government restricted journalists from entering the scene for security purposes. This came barely after 2 days when Al-Shabaab and the Somali federal government military clashed on the outskirts of Makkah, the administrative city of Lower Shabelle region, which caused casualties in the town. The fighting erupted after Al-Shabaab militants attacked a military base in El Chale area on the outskirts of Makkah. Al-Shabaab and Somali federal government forces have fought several times in the country, most of which resulted in casualties.
The Ethiopian government resumed the land and air transport to Djibouti on Friday. The two countries have closed diplomatic relations and cooperate in terms of trade.
The Ethiopian authorities on Friday announcing the resumption of land and air transport services to neighboring country Djibouti. Ethiopia imposed restrictions on land and air transport services to all neighboring countries, including Djibouti, in March to contain the spread of COVID-19. Dina Mufti, the spokesperson of the Ethiopian Foreign Ministry, said that Ethiopia has resumed air and land transportation services with Djibouti after undertaking close negotiations with its Djiboutian counterpart. He added that Djibouti is landlocked Ethiopia's main sea outlet and as such of vital importance, and the Ethiopian government undertook rigorous discussions with its Djiboutian counterpart to decide to reopen air and land transportation routes. There is an effort the Ethiopian government is undertaking similar discussions with other neighboring countries to resume air and land transport services that were suspended as part of anti-COVID-19 measures. Ethiopia has underlined the decision to resume land and air transportation services with other neighboring countries will depend on the extent of severity of the COVID-19 pandemic and mutual desire of respective countries. Djibouti handles about 95% of the import-export trade of landlocked Ethiopia, Africa's second most populous country, with a population of about 110 million people.
Officials say 18 people killed and many wounded after Air India Express flight skidded off a hilltop runway, landing in heavy rain in the southern city of Kozhikode in Kerala. The detail. Officials say 18 people killed and many wounded after Air India Express flight skidded off a runway in city of Kozhikode. At least 18 people have been killed and more than 100 others wounded when a passenger jet skidded off a hilltop runway after landing in heavy rain in the southern city of Kozhikode in Kerala, according to officials. The Air India Express flight from Dubai to Kozhikode, also called Calicut, was repatriating Indians stranded overseas amid the coronavirus pandemic. The plane was carrying 190 passengers and crew. The Ministry of Civil Aviation said in a statement, among them were 10 infants. Abdul Karim, a senior Kerala State Police officer, said the dead included one of the pilots of the 2-year-old Boeing 737-800 flying for Air India Express airline. He said at least 15 of the injured were in critical condition and that rescue operations were over. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted that he was pained by the plane accident. According to authorities, the plane's fuselage split into two as it fell into a valley 30 feet below. Amitabh Kant, who heads the government's planning commission, said the incident happened because of heavy rains and poor visibility. Some of the passengers were lying motionless on stretchers as they were brought into a hospital surrounded by health workers wearing masks because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The aircraft nose smashed into a brick wall with much of the middle of the plane pulverized. A similar tragedy was narrowly avoided at the same airport a year ago when an Air India Express flight suffered a tail strike upon landing. None of the 180 passengers of that flight was injured. The runway end safety area meets United Nations International Civil Aviation requirements, but the UN agency recommends a buffer that is 150 meters longer than what exists at Kozhikode Airport. According to Haru Ranta, Chief Executive of the Aviation Safety Network online database, Air India Express is a subsidiary of Air India. Friday's crash is the worst passenger aircraft accident in the country since 2010, when an Air India Express flight, also from Dubai, overshot the runway and slid down a hill. And now to the US-China matter. The US Treasury has imposed sanctions on Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam and 10 other top officials from Hong Kong and mainland China. The US Treasury has imposed sanctions on Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam and 10 other top officials from Hong Kong and mainland China. The sanctions were used to target those undermining Hong Kong's autonomy, said Treasury Secretary
Stephen Munchin, adding that the United States stands with the people of Hong Kong. The move comes weeks after China imposed a controversial national security law on Hong Kong, which critics say threatens its freedom. US-China tensions continue to escalate. Earlier this week, the Trump administration moved to ban US transactions with the Chinese owners of WeChat and TikTok apps.
Today I signed legislation and an executive order to hold China accountable for its oppressive actions against the people of Hong Kong. The Hong Kong Autonomy Act, which I signed this afternoon, passed unanimously through Congress. This law gives my administration powerful new tools to hold responsible the individuals and the entities involved in extinguishing Hong Kong's freedom. We've all watched what happened. Not a good situation. Their freedom's been taken away, their rights have been taken away, and with it goes Hong Kong, in my opinion, because it will no longer be able to compete with free markets.
Among those sanctioned are Hong Kong's police commissioner and several political secretaries. The US Treasury directly accused Ms. Lam of implementing Beijing's policies of suppression of freedom and democratic processes. In 2009, Lam pushed for an update to Hong Kong's extradition arrangement to allow for extradition to the mainland, setting off a series of massive opposition demonstrations in Hong Kong. The US Treasury added in a statement, on Saturday, the Hong Kong government branded the move blatant and barbaric interference in the internal affairs of the People's Republic of China, using Hong Kong as a pawn. Ms. Lam's spokesman said she would not be intimidated. Mrs. Carrie Lam said, "We are discharging an honorable duty to safeguard national security, protecting the life and interest of not only 7.5 million Hong Kong people, but also the 1.4 billion mainlanders." Luo Hunin, Beijing's representatives in Hong Kong, is among those sanctioned. He said the measures were ridiculous. Hong Kong Commerce Secretary Edward Zhou called the sanctions disproportionate and one of retaliation against US businesses in the region. The 11 sanctioned officials will have all property in the US seized and financial assets frozen.
In our sport, Real Madrid and Juventus crashed out of the European Champions League, while Barcelona's first-team player Lionel Messi has an elongation at the adductor of the left thigh. Details with Abdel Aziz Guled.
Borussia Dortmund will offer Jadon Sancho a new contract with a sizable salary increase if Manchester United don't match their 108 million asking price by Monday. Juve and Real Madrid out of the Champions League. Premier League awards shortlist revealed. The two clubs at an pace of a transfer fee for the English star, with United believing Dortmund asking price too high given the current economic climate. And German newspaper Bild report that Dortmund will try and tempt Jadon Sancho to stay at the Westfalen Stadium with an enhanced deal. Lyon advanced to the Champions League quarterfinals in Lisbon after beating Juve on away goals despite defeat in the second leg. Manchester City capitalized on two Rafael Varane errors as they made it through to the Champions League quarterfinals with a 2-1 win of Real Madrid.
Para sacar la pelota jugando, pero es mejor que Militao.
Está ahogando en la presión y ojo, el robo de pelota lo tiene y está el primero, está listo.
Jordan Henderson, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Sadio Mane among Player of the Season nominees. Liverpool trio Jordan Henderson, Sadio Mane and Trent Alexander-Arnold are among the 7 nominees for 2019-2020 Premier League Player of the Season award. Trio Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial and Mason Greenwood are among the 8 players nominated for the Premier League Young Player of the Season award. The English top flight has put forward 9 goals of the month winners throughout the season, and fans can vote to the overall winner of the Premier League website. Santi Cazorla admits that Spain legend Xavi convinced him to join Al Sadd in the Qatar Stars after his recent transfer. Between injuries and suspensions, the Barcelona coach struggled to draft a list for tomorrow's match. 8 B team players featured in the squad.
That has been the news. Thanks for watching.
We stand for what is possible. We stand for ideas of all